dream again. We are the emissaries from the void.
Hello, welcome back to Emissaries from the Void.
I'm Ari.
And I'm Tristan.
So we reviewed a movie...
A Dark Song.
A Dark Song. There we go. I keep wanting to call it like so many other titles. Anyway, A Dark Song.
2016? It is an Irish horror movie.
Yes. So it's honestly I think one of the first movies we've reviewed that hasn't been an American production. So A Dark Song is, a 2016 Welsh, Irish, British independent horror film, written and directed by Liam Gavin and starring Steve Oram and Catherine Walker, who are basically the only two characters in this movie for the most part. Once again, hello listeners, it's an occult movie, and it's about performing ostensibly the Abraham ritual, which is a ritual in the occult.
What those Abramelons do.
Yeah, what those Abramelons do, yo. I can't say words. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's ostensibly about the ritual to summon your guardian angel, which is actually one of the foundational texts of Western esotericism. However, throughout the movie, they do a synthesis of a lot of different disciplines and cultures, all in service of this ritual. So it's not really true to the real life ritual. They are doing a variation on it, but the general premise is the same. They're trying to summon her guardian angel so that she can ostensibly talk to her son, but we learn later on that there's different motivations. But that's the general premise to start off. And the movie is kind of just a mind fuck while we go through that with some disgusting elements.
Some quick content warnings for the movie, and consequently this
whole podcast just needs a giant content warning. The void is not a friendly place.
We can't seem to get away from the sexual assaults, so that will be an element, not major element, but it's there.
It's a wave as you drive by in this movie situation.
Also, just kind of general abuse, I guess.
Yes. If you are triggered by domestic violence, just skip this movie.
Yeah,
because basically up until the end, there's just a lot of interwoven random little spurts of domestic violence that just happens. And
it's a very dysfunctional couple.
Yeah, and
they're not a romantic couple.
They're not a romantic couple, but
they're forced to live together
because they're doing this ritual. Yeah.
Okay.
So Tristan.
Yes.
What was this movie really about?
I think it's pretty safe to say that this movie is about grief and about the long, hard process of processing grief. That's kind of the best way that I can sum it up.
Agreed. I definitely agree to that.
Because, as you said, they're doing this ritual. At the end of it, they're both going to get to ask for a sort of divine favor. And the woman says that her son has died and she wants to talk to her son. Do we want to try to talk about some of this without spoilers, or
I don't really feel like it's necessary, because it's, like you said after we were done watching it, it's a very straightforward movie.
Okay, so spoilers for the movie A Dark Song. It turns out later in the movie that her son was murdered by some teenagers.
Performing a satanic ritual.
Yeah. Who were never caught. And so she wants to get her own justice by asking for an angel to go kill them.
And damn them to hell.
Yeah. Essentially, the whole movie deals with the focus and the effort and the pain of kind of processing a loss like that, and ultimately, at the end of the movie, again, spoilers, she does change her heart and ask for the ability to forgive, which is something throughout the movie she said she does not do. She does not do forgiveness.
She just doesn't do it. Just doesn't do, like, the way that she says it is always like really like, okay, like you're incapable, like literally incapable of forgiveness.
Yeah. This is someone who's clearly, like, I don't remember if they like say like what the timetable was, but she's spent a lot of time dealing with this trauma, and she's probably
it's like 4 or 5 years, I think is what she says.
Yeah. So she's tried other methods, and she's determined forgiveness is just not something that she can do in this case.
Yes, and so the two characters we follow are Mr. Solomon and Sophia.
Okay.
Those are their names. Sophia apparently has a little bit of wealth because she is able to rent out this whole big mansion, and she's able to buy lots of provisions, and she's paying Solomon 80,000 pounds to do this ritual for her. And apparently he's done this ritual a few times in the past, and he said it's only worked once. He's done it 3 times and it's worked once.
Yeah.
Like, we've already kind of said it's about grief, and it's like, whereas forgiveness would have been free, she has to spend like, it's like 120,000 is what the broker, or 180,000 something like that is what the like realtor says to her about like how much this is going to cost to rent for however long she wants to rent it for. And then she's paying $80,000. So let's just say pounds.
Right.
Let's say like £250,000 basically is what she puts down on this whole project.
Yeah.
Whereas, so she could have spent that money like building a better life for herself and all this kind of stuff, but she's puts all this resources up front for revenge. And like, it's like revenge is this bottomless pit of money, and who knows how much money she spent before resorting to this. The ritual described in this movie is not inherently a dark black magic ritual, but the characters in this movie are convinced that it is. Even Mr. Solomon's like, well, of course I've done black magic. Like, why would you go to a amusement park and not go on the rides, is what he says.
Yeah.
So while as the inspiration for this movie is not black magic, in the text of the movie, it is clearly this is a bad thing to do. We're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. It kind of comes across like they're kind of equating the occult as a whole with black magic, when that's kind of more just half.
Not even like half of it. It's just like a part of it. Like, and it's true. Like, doing black magic isn't inherently a bad thing. Sometimes you got to do it. Like, if you are a practitioner like I am, you do things sometimes, and it's what it is. It's not like it inherently makes you a bad person to do a bad thing.
You don't have to adjust your alignment chart.
Yeah, exactly. Like, sometimes you just do stuff because you have to, or it's what you got to do. This movie kind of doesn't really believe in karma, like, because at like almost to the middle of the movie, Solomon is like, I've done a lot of stuff. I've met the dead. I've met the damned. Most of us are damned. That's what he says. Like, it's when she's like, reveals her goal is to be like, I want those kids that killed my son to get killed horribly and then be damned. Yeah. And he's like, well, that's a waste because most of us are damned.
Right.
And I think like, so this movie's clearly like, it's taking a kind of like maybe a misanthropic lens. We're all damned for the most part. We can't really live up to divinity. So whereas in the last 2 episodes, and don't worry, this is not going to be another like lecture on the occult, because this movie does a fine job of explaining what they're doing.
Yeah. It's all on the surface.
Right. The message of this movie is not an occult message, but there is a little bit of a response to the idea that we should be striving for ascendancy as occultists, because Mr. Solomon in this movie is not. He doesn't give a fuck about those things. Yeah. He just wants, at this point, he just wants to be left alone. He wants to take the money, go chill, and live the rest of his life
Yeah, he
alone.
literally says he's going to wish for invisibility.
And rest. He's like, I just want to be left alone for the last little bit of time to rest. And he does get his rest at the end of this movie, kind of. It's basically saying like, no, that's bullshit. We're not elevating ourselves. We're just doing what we want to do, and we are living our lives, and we're all damned anyway. So why does it matter? And I don't mean that, like, I don't think like the text is meaning that literally, just more like none of us really live up to perfection. None of us, we all have done really fucked up things in our life, and it's just kind of a part of living is to do those things. So it's like, why do you care about ascendancy or your cosmic karma or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like, those things don't matter, because clearly you have to be focused on the here and now. You need to be focused on your goal. You need to be focused on the objective. And he even says that, like, this ritual won't work unless you are focused. I don't need, he's like, I don't need purity from you. I just need resolve or something like that. He says like
something like that. Yeah. Much ado is made over intentionality and like focus on that for a sustained period,
which is in and of itself a major principle of magic.
Yeah.
Your will and your focus are the core essential things of what you're doing. You're doing ritual to focus and hone yourself. You're not, the rituals don't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. And that's why this movie kind of just pulls from everything, and it's like very syncretic about it, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. All that you're doing is focusing your will, because your will is what matters at the end of things. And so, do you want vengeance? Then you need to commit to it wholeheartedly. You can't half-ass self-actualization. You can't half-ass vengeance. You can't half-ass forgiveness.
Yeah.
You have to commit. Like, no, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to commit, or you're not going to do anything. Yeah. Unless you commit, you're not going anywhere with your life.
Yeah, I think that it comes close to being like the core message is the idea of commitment and resolve. And I think it kind of works as a therapy metaphor. Like, I think you can kind of read, Mr. Solomon not as a therapist per se, certainly not a good one.
No, not at all.
There are things that he does that if your therapist did, you should leave them. Such as drown you in a bathtub, if that happens.
If you're there. But like the idea is like he had to reset her, basically. It's
right.
like the point. Like and
we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
But my point is he spends a lot of time at the beginning of the movie making sure that she
wants to do this.
Yeah. Certain she wants to start on this path, and then once they start, he holds her accountable
violently a couple of times.
Yeah, sometimes violently. But he really holds her feet to the fire and forces her to do the work for herself, which, not all therapy is like that, but it can be. And
especially if you have a problem taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you and I have been in therapy like our whole lives, basically.
No, I started much more recently, but
okay, well, still, but like when we've talked about it, it's been like, this is what I need to work on. This is how I'm going to work on it. We know how to picture our goal in our mind and be like, okay, this is where I want to be. Now the therapist is there to help me facilitate that transformation, right? So like, I want to be less angry. Let's address why you're so angry. Let's first address why. Then let's go through the work to give you the coping skills to process your emotions in a healthier way, that you're not so angry all the time. And then let's, keep you accountable, because you have to take accountability for yourself. Coping mechanisms don't work unless you hold yourself accountable to them. If you have a problem with panicking all the time, and you don't do the steps to help focus and ground yourself, it's not wrong that you're panicking. But if you don't take responsibility for your own anxiety and panic attacks, then you're just going to keep having them, and they're going to keep causing you misery unless you take the steps you need to, whether that be taking medication for it or doing, meditation exercises, or just avoiding triggers that cause you to have panic attacks if possible. All of these things require a level of personal responsibility in your own mental welfare.
Yeah.
And so that's basically it. It's like, Mr. Solomon is there to remind her that she asked for it.
Right.
And he is giving her what she wants, even though she's acting like, oh, well, I'm not so certain about that. Like, oh, does it have to be like this? Can we just leave? And it's like, no. It's like, bitch, you asked me to do this for you. We're going to fucking finish this right now.
Yeah.
Which isn't I would say to be the most healthy approach to therapy, but it works on it in the end.
It's definitely like a heightened, as a metaphor.
She leaves this movie a better person than she started it.
Yeah. So like,
it just cost Mr. Solomon his life.
I haven't had any therapy that's been that intense. I haven't had any trauma that's like required that much work to process. But I know from talking to my partner that it is hard work. Like when you have complex trauma, you have to put in the work. And her therapist has dropped a lot of other clients and kept her because he sees she's willing to put in the work, as opposed to people who come in and just like, fix me. So that's kind of what I see reflected in Mr. Solomon's like kind of vetting process, and what was her name? Sophia?
Yeah.
And
to her credit, she is, after that first little pep talk, she does like dedicate herself to it for a while before he needs to like get after her again.
But like it's hard work. It's like, he has her meditate sitting staring at a rock for days.
Can't not leave the circle.
Yeah.
She literally pisses herself.
Yeah. No food, no water. There's several times where she, balks at what she has to do, or tries to like find a way out of it, try to kind of bargain. Something else I wondered while thinking about this was like if we can kind of pick out the like stages of grief throughout this movie. She got anger down. Like that's definitely there.
But we really see it manifest when, okay, well, let's just go through the stages of grief, because I think there is a point where anger does come out the most. So the stages of grief, for those who don't know, Tristan, do you know them?
Bargaining, anger, depression, denial, acceptance.
Yes, it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, in that order, although it can happen in any order for anybody. So yeah.
Right.
You were correct. I was just reading them off to verify that you were correct.
I thought it was funny that you were like in that order, but also in any order.
Yeah, I know. I think we really start off with the denial for sure, because she conscripts Solomon to do what he does under false pretenses of what she's after. Because he even asks her, he's like, okay, so what are you doing this for? Are you sure? He's like, fuck it. He's even like, I'm going to leave. He's like, I'm going to leave.
Yeah, because first she says, I want to talk to, or no, she says like, someone broke up with me. I want to make them love me again or something.
Yes.
Which is just total fabrication.
After quizzing her a little bit, he's like, I'm not doing this. Take me back.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, well, it's about my son. I want to talk to my son. I lost my son. He's like, okay, give me my money and I'll do this for you. But he's like, from the start, he's like, you gotta be focused. You gotta tell me exactly what you want, because that's the only way that I can help you. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, he has no judgment for her over what she wants. His judgment against her is only over her inability to be honest with herself about what she wants. Because like, society as a whole tells us that vengeance is a bad thing. It's not good. We get that reinforced constantly. So there's a level of shame when we feel those feelings.
Yeah.
While yes, vengeance is very self-destructive for the most part, it's definitely not something that you should pursue just out of the sense of like your own self-preservation. There's no shame in feeling that way.
Right.
And, I think that's like his point is like, he's like, you got to just be real with me about what you want, because I'll help you. I'm a mercenary magician. I'll do whatever you're paying me to do. It's just that you have to be real with me. And he even says, like, you know, once I seal this salt line, you can't leave.
Yeah.
And like, because he puts a whole salt line around the entire little mansion that they're in. He's like, once this is sealed, we're committed. We're stuck here together.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'm certain. And then he does it, and he like even looks at her like, nah, this bitch is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but the point is that like he's taking care of like this side of it for her, but because she's paying her, but she's in denial about what she even really wants. And that causes problems because she goes through all this work. She goes through months. Like, it does a time skip.
Yeah.
And we see like little vignettes of like the brutality of what she's been doing. And she's like, it's not working. And then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to do it again. And she's like, really? Like,
yeah, she starts to lose faith in the process.
but the process isn't working because she wasn't honest with him about what she wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is another parallel to therapy.
Exactly. And then we go into bargaining next. I don't think the real anger comes out until after we've already been bargaining for a while, because she's like, please, I need rest, or like, you know, there has to be another way. Like, I think that's the point of the, that's the point of the blood drinking.
Yeah.
Is like, because she's like, okay, we got to do forgiveness now. And she's like, I won't do forgiveness.
Yeah.
There has to be another way. And he's like, okay, well, you're not going to fucking like it.
Yeah.
And he makes her drink his blood.
A lot of it.
Oh my God, so much of it. This ritual involves you being in a place and not being able to leave. Like, that's part of the real ritual, like IRL. And you're allowed to eat, you're allowed to drink, but there are periods where you're not.
Right.
And it's like it's the oscillation back and forth that really is the thing that puts you in the frame of mind to have visions. You got to put yourself in the right same frame of mind, the right space. And using a non-occult frame of reference, if you go into therapy not in the right frame of mind, you're not going to receive anything from it.
Right.
While in this movie, the rituals are destructive to the body, I think it's trying to show how brutal and how much work it is to develop good coping mechanisms for whatever you're dealing with. It's work, it's labor, and it's repetitive labor.
Yeah.
You know, sure, we might not have to stare at a rock for 2 days straight without rest or sleep or whatever, but we are not that far off when, you know, every single day you have to like say affirmations to yourself, or you have to, you know, meditate on processing whatever you're going through, or you have to like go into EMDR therapy and like relive your whole fucking tragic backstory over and over and over again. Like, as someone who has gone through intense PTSD therapy, as someone who has had the kinds of traumas happen to her that have put me in a position where I've needed that kind of intense therapy, it is brutal and it's repetitive and it's grinding. By the end of month 3 of my intense PTSD therapy, when I first came back home after what happened to me, I was like ready to die. Because I was raw and I was numb, and I was so overwhelmed by the sheer weight of the torment that I endured that reliving it in PTSD therapy was brutal for me.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with the imagery of like sitting there while somebody like pours water over you for hours and hours and hours and hours and tells you like, no, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. And like, you're like, no, I need rest. I need sleep. It's like, you're not ready for that yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. And she does get rest. She does get sleep. She does get time to recover. But these sessions of the ritual are hard and difficult and painful and you know, and you have to go through it again. Like, once you get to the end of a PTSD therapy book, Sometimes you got to go right back to the start of that motherfucker. And okay, we made it through for this piece of your trauma. Now we got to go through this piece of your trauma. And you got to chunk it piece by piece, because if you do it all at once, you're just going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be too much. Because our brains can only take so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we want to talk about the kind of abusive aspects of their relationship?
Yes, I think we should. I think we should dip into that well now because, well, okay, so we've talked about all the positives.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
there is a lot of abuse in this. And so that's why, like, Solomon's not a really great one-for-one stand-in for therapy.
Right. It's kind of a vague metaphor, but, like, I think to make it a movie, like, they had to add conflict outside of just the ritual. So there's a lot of, like, plate smashing.
They break a lot of dishes in this movie.
Yeah, they didn't. They stocked up on food. I hope they, like, stocked up on plates.
Yeah, because there's several times where both of them will just, like, take a dish and, like, slam it into the ground.
Yep.
To, like, aggressively, like, and you know, even though they're not romantic in the movie, I was reading this as, like, two traumatized people trying to have a relationship. Like, because we don't really get to see Solomon's trauma.
Right.
But we see the result of it. He's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
To the point that, like, for the ritual, he's, like, getting the shakes because he can't have his alcohol, and he's, like, doing his best to, like, survive that. And, you know, he's got this bottle of whiskey that he keeps on him, but he does, to his credit, he doesn't at any point drink from it. He
does eventually, but
like, for most of the movie, he avoids his own, because he's trying to do he's trying to do a good job. He's trying to do what he's supposed to do.
Because they're locked in. And he's got that focus. He knows the process, and he has his goal, and he's focused on it. Exactly.
He's a trained magician. He is performing the magic. He's been, you know, maybe he's someone who's been through the therapy rodeo, and he's gotten past the point that she's at, and, like, that's kind of like where he's at, right? So there's two people. They both have serious trauma.
Yeah.
One of them has the skill set to achieve a goal. The other one does not. And that interplay between the two of them brings out the worst in both of them, because he gets frustrated of her lack of commitment, of her lack of devotion and dedication and follow through. And she gets angry because he knows exactly what he needs, and he knows exactly what he wants of her, and he knows exactly what he needs to achieve his goal, and that causes him to do things to her that are not good. But like, it's all in service to the fact, like, he's like, I need to focus my brain, so he makes her strip and get naked for him so that he can jerk off.
Yeah.
And to him, he's like, I that's what I needed to achieve my goal. But to her, that she's like, what the fuck, that's so fucked up.
Yeah.
And she like pees in his food basically as her revenge, which is crazy. Like,
he sets it up like it's part of the overall ritual, that it's like a sex ritual, and then has her strip, and then he just masturbates and finishes, and he's like, oh yeah, no, that was just for me. Like, yep.
But, like, you can see in him, like, he's like, it was, to him it was pragmatic,
right?
But he assaulted her, like, you know, and I wonder, like, the different universe where he would have just asked her, been like, hey, I'm gonna need this. Like, I wonder how willingly she would have done that if he hadn't just, like, tricked her,
right?
And that comes down to, like, maybe that trauma, that lack of trust, that in and of itself creates more damage and trauma, because that, like, in comparison to losing her child to satanic cultists, that was probably not as traumatic. But it was still something that, like, she doesn't trust him for the rest of the movie. He broke the trust because he needed something from her and did not have the communication skills to articulate that to her, because he didn't want her to be able to say no. He wanted her to just do it. Yeah. And that's a trauma thing. Like, you know, as, like, not making an apology for any of this fucked up stuff, but I'm just saying, like, in general, It is a trauma response to not even bring up the subject or ask someone to do something, but to trick them into doing it, because you do not want the rejection of them saying no, but you also want it to happen. So you trick them into doing it so that they can't say no. That's a real thing that people do, because they have had so much rejection trauma that they don't know how to handle somebody saying no to them. And it's fucked up. It's not like it's not like it's okay, but it's just like, I can see in that the continuation of the trauma metaphor, because he's doing this because of that. You know, he doesn't communicate, he doesn't ask, he doesn't say anything, he just does it.
So then at the point where Sophia, you know, she starts berating him like, this isn't working, nothing has happened yet. And he's like, I think it's you. I think there's something that you haven't told me. And it comes out that she wants revenge, basically. And she's been lying about her motives. And then he's like, you've fucked everything up.
Yeah, because we can't leave.
We
cannot leave until we reach the goal. So like, you've thoroughly fucked us.
So basically, he decides he has to drown her and revive her.
Yes.
Obviously does not ask for permission for that.
No. But he's determined he has to reset her. He has to and you know, obviously this is not a one-for-one metaphor for any individual trauma recovery path.
Yeah.
But like, you know, dying and coming back does wonders to reset your priorities about your life.
Yeah.
As someone who has died and been resuscitated, it changes you on a level I cannot even describe to people who have not been through it. But anybody who has been through it understands that you just are a different person after it happens. Whether that's from oxygen deprivation to your brain causing, you know, a change in your personality, or if you're like me and you weren't dead long enough for that, it's just death is traumatic.
Yeah.
And, you know, it tends to alter your perspective on things. And so he puts her in the position where she dies and comes back to reset her priorities and also to like reframe the whole ritual. And he's like, okay, you're good now. We can do it now. We can complete the ritual now because you are now focused on what you really want. And I've reset you.
Yeah, I feel like there was maybe some like kind of more external reasoning, like to do with the ritual that like.
Well, yeah, he's like, you've touched the void and come back.
I think the next major thing to talk about is Mr. Solomon gets stabbed through the abdomen.
After he drowns her and she comes back, they have a big altercation.
Yeah.
And she pushes him into the dishes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in the dish rack. And I guess there was a knife in there.
Yep.
And his first thing was like, was this knife clean? That was his very first question. And it apparently wasn't, because he gets one hell of an infection.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty gnarly effects.
Well done. Yeah. Like when we were watching this movie, like it takes a lot to make me go to like wince. And that made me wince.
Yeah.
Cause it looks real. It looks medically real.
Something else that he says is like, this is kind of retribution, or like, this is
for hurting you.
Yeah. Your guardian angel getting back at me for drowning you in a bathtub. So she pulls that knife out.
Which, because I guess like the idea is that she had to pull it out because they can't leave and go to the hospital.
Right.
And so like the common wisdom is to leave it in, because going to the hospital, they'll scan you and then find a way to safely remove it. But of course, if you can't go to the hospital, taking it out is better, because leaving it in just...
I mean, you got to bandage.
Yeah, you got to take care of it. So, well, it was not... Why it normally is not the correct thing to do in this case, because they can't leave.
Right. Just in case you get a knife stabbed through you.
And she pours whiskey into an open wound.
Yeah.
Because that's all. They don't have disinfectant.
Yeah.
I guess they forgot to get that in their provisions.
Should have got a med kit together, but well,
she had bandages. She just didn't have any antibiotics.
Yeah. Another thing that like kind of bothered me about that scene was that she put a bandage on one side and not the other.
I guess there is a bandage on the other side. We just don't see it.
Yeah, sure.
But like it starts like... After a while, it starts to fester and become infected, and he gets feverish, and he starts messing things up in the rituals. And she eventually decides he can't get up. He's bedridden. He's gonna die probably. So she goes into the ritual room and tries to open up the books, and she can't read them.
Yeah, she opens up the books, and there's lines through every line of text. Which I initially took as Mr. Solomon like sabotaging it, but I guess it could be
the spirits messing with her. Probably that's what I took it as.
Yeah, maybe that, or just like a way to represent her not being able to understand it.
Yeah, like I think that's what I had initially said. I initially said like she isn't trained the way that Solomon is. She can't. She doesn't have the insight in order to perform the rituals herself.
Right.
She's not there yet, so she can't read these books, because she was reading the books earlier with Solomon's help. But because like she's reading them earlier, they're like looking for things, they're squaring the circles and all that kind of stuff. Like they're doing ritual stuff.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden she can't read the books, and it's because she is not able to do it herself.
Yeah. So basically she gets depressed. She's like, I can't finish this. So she makes the decision to leave, to cross
the circle,
the salt line.
Yes.
And immediately her car won't start. And so she walks for miles and miles.
All day long. She leaves and the sun's high in the sky, and she comes back and it's setting.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I found a house. Hopefully someone's home. And then she comes and she sees her car in front of it.
And she freaks out. Like, she screams.
Yeah.
And she's like, because basically, like, she wasn't done, so she can't leave.
Yeah.
Like, once you start on the path of trying to address your grief, you're there. You're locked in, and you got to finish. Because if you try to leave halfway through, if you half-ass anything, what was the point of it all? You might as well have just been walking in a big circle.
Yeah. And in the context of the film, like taken literally, she's kind of fucked because she's just like stuck in this liminal
until it finishes
space.
Until the ritual is done.
Yeah, but like how can she finish it if she doesn't?
Exactly. Yeah. And then so now we can see the spirits though. Now the spirits are here.
Yeah. She goes back inside and we can see like flashes of these people with like white paints and they're just like kind of fucking with her.
And her son and this old lady, like the two spirits taking. Right. And then we also see that Mr. Solomon has passed away. He's vomited up a bunch of gross shit. The walls are covered in like grimy handprints.
Yeah,
and
looked like bloody handprints. Yeah,
it looked too brown for blood for me, but okay. Like whatever. So
depends how long they were there.
The building has been desecrated. Is the point? Yeah. The ritual space has been desecrated. The dark forces of the spirit world have flooded into the space.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them. There is a lot of them. Like and she's able to like lock herself in a room and like hide out through the night and wait for the night to pass, and they can't get into the room. And then she goes out into the hall. She wakes up the next day and she goes out into the hallway, and she thinks she's safe because the sun's out, but nope, they're still there, and they they get her.
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit, because in the pile of vomit is the picture of her son.
Oh, yes.
What do we make of that? Is that something that Mr. Solomon, like, he had it with him and then grew up on, or is it something the spirits did? Or
I think it's definitely something the spirits did, because they're mocking her. So like, she starts off the movie with this photograph of her and her son, and about halfway through the ritual, she tears herself out of it, and just focuses on her son, because vengeance for her son is the goal. So she's doing what Mr. Solomon told her to do. She's focusing herself on the goal. And then when she comes back from breaking the rules of the ritual, the picture is now in a pile of muck, because the demons are like, this is what we think of your son, you dumb bitch.
Okay.
Like, you broke the rules. We can do what we want to you now.
Right.
Like, we have full license now to just ruin you.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. It's like,
okay,
she tried to run away from her grief, and that in and of itself defiles the memory of her son, because to honor the memory of someone that's been taken from you, the best thing that you can do is to try to heal from the pain. That's what, if someone really loves you, that's what they want for you.
Yeah.
So she's almost like defiling the memory of her son by trying to break the rules of the ritual.
Now, just as a quick aside, the vomit that's on the photo looks like creamed corn.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if it's a Twin Peaks reference. You said you haven't seen the movie, right?
I haven't. I've only seen the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. So there is creamed corn in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But in the movie, I believe is where they start calling it garmonbozia.
Oh, okay.
Which the subtitles translate as pain and suffering. And it's like, that's what the demons in Twin Peaks eat, is human pain and suffering. And it looks exactly like creamed corn. So maybe a Twin Peaks reference in there.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. That definitely sounds like a Twin Peaks reference. Like super esoteric, and you can't blink and you miss it. Because to me, it almost looked like diarrhea rather than vomit. But that's how I like read it at first. Like the demons were literally shitting on her memory of her son, which is a thing that demons would do. And anyway, they hit her upside the head, and they hit her hard because she's like bleeding profusely from her head when they drag her downstairs. Yeah. And she's dragged into this basement, and we've been in the basement before. It was where the laundry room was, basically. And they're dragging her. She's dragged past the body of Mr. Solomon, who's down there in hell. And then they tie her to a chair, and they violently cut off one of her fucking fingers.
Yeah.
Which,
with a bolt cutter,
which is crazy. Like she's like out of it. She's like dazed, and then she sees them like bringing it over, and you see like the horror on her face.
Yeah.
As they like take her finger off, and she manages to wrestle free of them, because they don't tie her to the chair, rather they like hold her down. Like her demons.
There's like dozens of demons down there.
Her demons are literally holding her down while they take her finger, and it's interesting that they take her ring finger, because I would have expected them to take her pinky if they were like really pulling from like true divine inspiration, because in esotericism, it was seen like cutting your pinky off was a way to like cleanse your soul. Like sacrificing your pinky was part of a ritual to like cleanse you, basically.
Interesting.
But they take her ring finger, so I guess they didn't really like take that reference or whatever. But the idea is like she gives us offering of herself, because once she does that, then she's put in the position where she's trying to get up the stairs, and the demons are like holding her in the basement. They're trying to keep her down there so they can torture her more. And she says that she's sorry. She's really sorry that she broke the rules of the ritual. And that is when her angel shows up, and all the demons flee from its light. And how I read all that is like, she tried to run away from her grief. She tried to abandon the process of healing, and that she was dragged down into the depths of the pit, basically. And she was gonna be like taken apart there, like ripped into pieces by her demons. But through like that last minute, there's still time.
Mm-hmm.
There is still time. Through that last bit, that last moment, that last chance that she has, she finally realizes that she needs to ask for forgiveness. Like maybe she doesn't do forgiveness for herself, but she needs to ask for forgiveness. She needs to forgive herself for this. And then that's when the angel shows up. So after all this work, all this labor, dead ends, having to restart, breaking the rules, the thing that finally allows her to reach her goal is asking herself for forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a really powerful message. Because if you can't forgive yourself, how do you move on from anything? If you can't forgive yourself for the pain you've caused or the suffering you've inflicted on yourself or others, then you're never going to be able to move past your grief. If you don't do forgiveness, then nothing else is going to matter.
Yeah.
Because you at the very least have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to forgive somebody else, you don't have to forgive somebody else, but you forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. And she goes upstairs and we see the angel. I think I talked about this with you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that we saw the angel. I would have preferred we only see the light and her reaction, but we do see the angel. They're the most generic angel I think I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know about the most. Like, it's the most generic would be white robes, white wings.
That's fair, but they looked pretty.
This is an angel in like golden armor with a big sword.
Yes.
Fills the room and has like glowing white irises, which was a pretty cool effect.
I did. Yeah, it looked cool, but like I just would have preferred we just do the implication because angels are like cosmic horrors.
Yeah.
Like true biblically accurate angels are like ineffable creatures of light and fire and divinity, but it's fine. The point is they did it like this because she's like, I'm so sorry. What I want, she stumbles over words. She's like, what I want is the ability to forgive.
Yeah.
And the angel smiles at this.
Yeah.
And then, we later see her like giving Mr. Solomon a burial in the lake, which, where are the police? Like I can see it like couple decades later, the police exhume this body and they're like, what happened here?
Yeah. Maybe we didn't see it, but she was like, also Mr. Solomon wants invisibility. Can you make his corpse invisible?
Oh my God.
That would have been convenient. But no, she buries him and she drives away. Her car will start now.
Yes, and she passes by another person, which reveals that she's out of this weird limbo that she was in.
Right.
And then the movie ends with her asking for the ability to forgive because, as I said earlier, the only way you can move on from grief is to forgive.
Yeah.
At least yourself. I think that's kind of the point. It's that we make our own suffering. We keep ourselves in hell. Those demons were her demons.
Right.
Keeping her in that basement, cutting her fucking finger off. Mm-hmm. And it's only when she asks herself for forgiveness that she's able to escape that.
Yeah.
And then her ask from the angel is to give her the ability to forgive. But she already found that. But, it's like finalized, I guess, by that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not meant to be literal, I don't think. Like nothing about all the occult stuff is on the surface because it's trying to, like you said, talk about grief.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where based on the last 2 episodes, everybody understands, they've got the primer down. They already know how to read this shit. And so by watching this movie, we're now using the occult imagery to talk about something else. Whereas like in the other 2 movies, the esoteric readings are very like under the surface. This is on the top, and the real under the surface is about, overcoming our suffering, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about kind of the movie overall. Has some beautiful shots of the Welsh countryside, I guess.
Yeah, when it first opens, I was like, wow, this is going to be a gorgeous movie. Like,
Yeah,
that was like the
yeah.
first thing I said, because the first image we get is just the rolling rain clouds basically over an open field in the Welsh countryside. It's gorgeous.
I will say there was something that kind of kept me from connecting on an emotional level to the proceedings. I was interested. I wanted to see where it was going, but it didn't like hook me in the gut, you know?
It definitely didn't give me the same emotional resonance that like Mad God gives me. Or I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
But I think I connected with it because of its choice of imagery for trying to present its story. That being said, I wasn't bored, but I wasn't like you. I wasn't interested. Like, it didn't keep my interest the way that.
Or invested. Maybe.
Yeah, I wasn't invested. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, they both also get off really light in this movie. Like, Solomon dies, but you know, it's one of those things where like, I would have wanted to see more of like she has to cut her fucking arm off or something, you know, like more of she loses a finger in this movie. That's it. Like, she makes it through this movie almost unscathed. Whereas like, to really sell the point home, she should have had to like sacrifice way more than she does. Yeah. Like, cause he dies. Like, you can even say like, okay, motherfucker, he died a painful death of like, you know, of fucking infection, like, you know, but she doesn't really suffer in a long-term capacity the way that I would have expected it to, because the whole point is that she has to go through all this over and over again because she's not forgiving herself. That's like the thing that's because that's what happens to make the angel show up. So like, the movie is telling us that her not forgiving herself is the reason why she spent months here.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think maybe an extended sequence in the basement, because it's
like blinking, you miss it. It's over so fast.
Yeah, it's really one short scene, and it could have been a sequence of like 10 minutes or more.
Right, where they have like the demon that's wearing her son's face like mock her, or like say stuff to her, like, or like, you know, like
something that shows that she
blames
can't
herself.
forgive herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's kind of what's missing. Because like, when she was climbing the stairs and said, I'm sorry, like, it didn't immediately come to me that she was like apologizing for her own role, or like asking for her own forgiveness.
Right, but like, and that's how I read it. And so maybe that wasn't the point, I guess.
I think that's the thing that makes sense, though, thematically.
Yeah, like that's what the text seems to be implying. She's asking herself for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would have really liked like more torture.
I think it would have benefited from
just a little extra.
Yeah, ramp it up a bit there.
I would, you know, like, this movie kind of sits at 3 stars for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna go much higher than that, but
I feel like if it had that little bit extra I was looking for, it'd be higher. I'd probably put it at like a 4 if like that demon basement scene was a little bit more fleshed out.
Okay.
I like its message. I like its exploration of grief. I felt unsatisfied, not because of a denial of closure, which I really respect. I felt unsatisfied because it's as close to like a Deus Ex as you could get away with in a story. Like, I mean, they're literally trying to summon the angel, but like, it just, it doesn't feel earned. Her just like realizing she has to forgive herself. It doesn't feel like we spent so much time not doing that like, when we finally do it, it just kind of comes too fast, and it doesn't feel like it was earned by the narrative as much. Or if like it had been like something like Mr. Solomon had said in his fevered state of like, I'm gonna die and I haven't even been able to like do, you know, whatever, like, you know, showing that he himself hasn't learned the lesson either. and he dies. And so she's like, well, shit, I'm going to fucking die too if I don't learn the lesson. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Like it really hurt the movie. Its ending hurt it for me a little bit.
Okay.
Very pretty movie though.
Yeah, I really appreciated the metaphor, and like this is something that you said on the night that we watched it, that a lot of movies that deal with the occult and like summoning things makes it look easy, and it's like something that you can like slip into, stumble into, like
we read a page from a book and we summoned this ancient demon.
Right, exactly. And I think that comes from a place of like wanting to portray it as like a slippery slope, like this is why you stay away. But like this movie shows it as fucking hard. And it's really an interesting take, and obviously serves the metaphor much better. Okay, one thing before we wrap up.
Oh, okay.
So this movie was suggested to me by someone online, and they said that it was their favorite movie. And I asked them if they would talk about why, and if I could read it.
Please.
So Tattooed Rat says...
Tattooed Rat. I love it.
One of the core problems with nearly every horror movie is that it's easy. Maybe you didn't say it. Maybe I read it.
No, I said it. I definitely said it. Yeah.
Okay. So some synchronicity.
We're on the same wavelength here.
Play with a Ouija board, get possessed by a demon, go on a vacation in the woods, and meet aliens. Whatever. A Dark Song is one of the only movies I've ever seen that portrays it as hard. There is little worth to be found in a cliche story about people stumbling across some nonsense they're unaware of or don't take seriously and meeting a grisly end. It is instead far more interesting to ask what it would look like instead to do what's hard and do it with full knowledge of what you're undertaking. A Dark Song is a story about loss and grief, but more than that, it is a story about suffering. The suffering we inflict upon ourselves in the wake of such a loss. It's a movie about the time our first girlfriend broke up with us and we went 4 days on a couch without eating, about that song you can't listen to anymore without remembering the friend you still don't speak to, but still listen to anyways. About the holiday traditions we still go through the motions of, even though there's an empty seat at the table where our mother used to sit. It asks the question of what would you go through? What would you endure? What would you go without in order to pay off the debt of your grief? And indeed, the same of our rage. How many times has your food tasted like ash because you saw that post on social media about the latest evil in the world? How much do we let that anger simmer inside ourselves, reforging us, turning our every waking moment into a reflection of the hatreds we carry? I'm going to pause here.
That's first off, that's beautiful. You definitely have a talent for writing, friend. But also, I agree. It's kind of, again, why I was saying that this movie is like the anti-Hellraiser, because its message is that we go through all that suffering, and then once we learn to forgive ourselves, that's when we can let go of our lament. Versus, of course, the point of Hellraiser being like, no, the suffering's the point.
Right.
You know, that's... I agree. I agree so far.
Okay. The movie forces us to go through this journey along with her, step by step, with the best atmosphere and slow build of tension I've ever encountered, such that our delight almost matches hers at the little signs that something is actually working, and the knowledge that maybe, just maybe, all of the suffering we do as human beings has meaning. Maybe we inflict this on ourselves as a means to an end and not just as a cruel punishment. And at the end of the day, we don't receive some ambiguous end. Maybe it was all in our head, nothing was really going on, nonsense. We are shown the real capital T truth behind it all. It was real, and it was all in our head. Her suffering and ours did have an effect on the world, but it was devoid of meaning. She realizes, having gained the wisdom of the journey, that all she wants is to not have wanted to go through it. She wants to forgive those she hates, the killer of her son, sure, but herself most of all. No other movie could have actually pulled off a literal angel on screen, and we've debated that, but in a dark song, it reads as an understandable payoff to our slow journey along with her. Solomon makes it clear to her and us that her intentions must be honest, and they are not, and a price is exacted for her lies. The magic requires that she be cleansed, but at the end of the day, we find that you cannot be. You cannot come to this place from a place of purity and honesty. Instead, the
whatever. I can't say words.
Abremelin operation itself is a cleansing, a forced reflection on oneself that leaves us understanding that none demands our suffering but ourselves.
Yeah, actually, I basically completely agree with that analysis for the most part. I mean, obviously, I've seen angels done on the screen. I don't think it necessarily is a thing that can't work. But other than that, like, I definitely agree for the, like, basically on every beat that Tattooed Rat said, which is that, like, effectively this is about how at the end of all of this suffering, the wish is to not have had to deal with the suffering to begin with. Agree. Like, because, you know, again, we make a lot of our own suffering. We, as I said last episode, the atrocity engine inside of us is almost as powerful as the one that is perpetrated in the world outside of us. And we, like, manufacture in us our own pain and misery because our inability to let go of things keeps us in these places. You know, for years I kept myself in the motel room I died in over and over and over and over again because I was unable to forgive myself for putting myself in that position as much as I was unable to forgive the person who did it to me, like, because I felt like I had made the choices I had made, had put it all on my shoulders, and the unburdening of just being able to let it go. I don't need vengeance. I don't need to hyperfixate on what happened. I can just let it go. I can just stop. You know, that's very liberating. And you can't just do it right away. You have to go through a grief process. You have to go through a stage where it percolates in your brain and it kind of works its way out. But then there's a certain point where it's worked its way to the top. You've gotten to the end of it and you are just holding on to it, white knuckles, you know, straining, like your veins are popping out of your arm because of how much you're just, like, holding on to it, because you don't know how to be comfortable in the quiet, separated from your grief. You are living in the room with your grief, and you have become codependent on your grief to, like, justify your own continued existence. Like, you can't let go of it, because if you let go of it, then what would you identify with anymore?
I feel like we could compare this movie to The Babadook.
Okay, yeah. I also a movie about grief.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's been too long since I've seen it.
Same.
To really do that effectively, but
I can see what you're saying, and I'm sure anybody else who's seen it would know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But it is very much about, like, letting those demons in and then they run the show. Certainly, like, that last part of A Dark Song is very similar to...
Right, because, like, it's like when she gave up, she crossed the ritual line and spiritually gives up. That's, the demons are, like, given free run. They're like, well, you're ours now, bitch. Like, we got you. And I resonate with that because, you know, like, my own descent into despair and suffering because of what I went through, it was in and of itself its own reinforcing cycle that kept me in a cycle of abuse, a psychological abuse, because I was seeking a codependent connection with other people because I was so uncomfortable with myself and I didn't trust myself anymore, and I didn't have that, like, ability to forgive my own self, so I kept repeating the lesson until I fucking learned it.
Right.
And that's like, when I speak from, like, being addicted to your suffering, I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
You know, like, but you get to a point where either you give up entirely or you've had enough, and you just let go. You just stop torturing yourself.
All right. Ari, what was one thing you liked and one thing you disliked about this movie?
I liked the use of occult practices to show a path of self-healing, because that the occult has been a path of self-healing for me.
Yeah.
So I really respected on a deep level that this movie showed that, you know, you can learn lessons from the occult. Now, like Tattooed Rat says, this movie's kind of showing like, well, you learned that you definitely don't want to go through it again. You know, not all the occult is suffering, you know,
right.
You don't have to like do like a lot of it's visualization and meditative practices and the use of rituals to focus yourself around your goals. And I think that this movie did a really good job of demonstrating that in a way that will stick with the watcher's experience.
Okay.
I didn't like the ending.
Okay.
Not like in its message or whatever.
Right.
I just didn't like that the demons don't really do anything. Like they cut her finger off. Sure, that's horrible, but they don't utilize that last 10 minutes to like have them taunt her or have them try to like embody her grief. Like they tried to do that by having one of them look like her son. I get that, but I wanted more from that interaction. I wanted more from that scene.
They kind of came off a little ineffectual.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Like at first I thought the movie was just making a twist that like these were just real people that have been here this whole time. Like,
no.
You know what I mean?
God.
Like they were pulling a Shyamalan at first. Like that's what I felt like. They didn't feel like demons until the light of the angel scares them off. Like,
gotcha.
They just felt like people that were on this property this whole time. Like,
just in the way that they were presented.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because they just show up. They like we see her sitting on the staircase, and then one of them just comes up and drags Solomon's body off.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, okay, so we got other people here now. Like,
well, we had seen them like in glimpses before,
right? But we had not seen it like that, and so it just the ending didn't execute on what I was feeling it was building up to. I think, like either like my whole thing was like either this movie is gonna like end with it not being real, and that teaches her the lesson, or it's very real and that teaches her the lesson, and they kind of settled in the middle a little bit. Like, because like again, like, you know, it was real and it's all in her head at the same time, and it's like I felt like I needed those demons to do something more than just what they did.
Yeah
Anyway, that's
I get that.
But I respect that this is that you know, Tattooed Rat's favorite movie. Like I can see why they feel that way for sure, 100%. I mean, like, shit, like my favorite movie is What We Do in the Shadows. So like, you know, like, I can't really talk shit about like that's a silly, goofy movie. Like, anyway,
also one of my favorites.
I loved that movie so much. Yeah.
Okay, something that I liked. I guess I'll go with kind of the overall like metaphor of dealing with grief and more or less like therapy. And something I disliked, I felt like this is kind of similar to your point about the ending, but I feel like it could have been heightened kind of throughout. Like we are shown that it is hard. I think it could have felt even harder.
Yeah, so like kind of like how like I would have wanted them to like her to sacrifice more in that last scene. You were kind of just saying throughout the whole movie you would have liked it.
And
just...
it doesn't even have to like change the facts of what happened, but the pacing of the editing, I always think of Vince Gilligan when I think about just like showing the whole process of things. That's something that he does a lot in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yeah, like crime is work. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy money. You gotta like work your ass off for it. It's
and even when it's Mike drilling holes in a garden hose and putting nails through it, like he shows the whole process and really takes his time, and then eventually you get to see like why all that work was put into it. I feel like this movie could have used a little more of that, because we see like there's montages of like her, peeing herself as she's meditating for days, but it didn't really like force me to feel the weight of that.
I got you. I exactly see what you're saying. Yeah, there was a little bit of an oomph. I think we're on the same like wavelength here, because there was like a little bit of oomph missing from it. Just really like to nail it home a little bit. But again, maybe like a 3.5 for me actually. Now that like, especially after I heard Tattooed Rats like whole thing, it's raised it a little bit. I can kind of respect it a little bit more. But it's just missing that little extra something I needed it from it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so overall, liked it. I liked it more than I didn't.
Definitely recommend it.
Recommended for sure. I don't think it's going to go on any like list of mine for sure, but I can definitely appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining me in my living room. You all have a great rest of your week, okay?
Goodbye.
Bye.
This has been Emissaries from the Void with Ari Stell Hawthorne and myself, Tristan Bowersox. New episodes will be released every other week with short bonus content we're calling liminals in the off weeks. The intro music is Now I Hear Little Dreams by Captive Portal, and the outro music is Arcadia by White Bat Audio. You can find us on Blue Sky at Void Emissaries, and remember that's single M double S. You can find Ari as Obscurity on most platforms and me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd as TB McQueen. The latter is where you will find our watch list and suggest movies you'd like to hear us dissect. You can also email us at emissariesfromthevoid@outlook.com to give feedback, alternate takes on the movies we've discussed, questions, suggestions, etc. Emissaries from the Void is a Void Opal podcast produced by TB McQueen Creative. For something completely different, listen to my other podcast, Fan Fiction Theater.